So, welcome to the session. This is as you are in the crucial phase of your year. Generally, everybody used to call that the board examination years are very crucial. And in the crucial year, and this has been the crucial month, right? So, your portions are over and you're at the right phase of preparation. So, when we divide our like exam preparation into first is planning, then you have to prepare. Now you have a presentation, that is when the board exam comes you have to present everything whatever. So the three p's are very important. You all, like, as we have already completed the syllabus and you all have completed multiple times many examinations, so you are planning is almost it's done, right? So now you are in the preparation for the board examination. So how shall we prepare for a better presentation there that will ensure you the maximum score? That is what the topic what I'm going to deal with today. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. Have you moved to the next slide?
Yes.
Yeah, it's visible. It's
So
visible.
as I said, planning, preparation, and presentation. As I know that your teachers and you as well are rightly doing the thing, all the things whatever required for planning. And now we have to see the preparation and especially how can we do the presentation. So first I thought of rightly like starting with the literature session. I'm not going by section wise, that is starting from section A. We are going backwards. One being the reason the maximum weightage of the paper is from literature, that is 40 marks, right? So it is. I feel this would be like a better thing to start with. So I'm starting with literature, and as what you are seeing on the screen, you are very familiar with these two things, right? First flight and footprints, these are the two textbooks. So why I'm starting with literature? Because we have the maximum weightage. Also we are familiar as with, our teachers are taking as many number of classes to complete the syllabus, the stories. Of course you're all fond of these stories, right? So how many times you might have read these chapters, the stories in this in these books? Multiple readings, right? So I thought this would be the best, the right beginning. So these are the two things that we have to read so religiously when we are preparing for your examination, especially for answering your section C, that is the literature part, right? Now, as you know, the weightage is 40 marks, and what types of questions you generally used to get from literature? As you all know, we used to get extracts. Generally, children, by this time, by now, you all should be familiarized with the number of questions, the total number of questions, which question and the respective, the corresponding question number. This is very mandatory. We should be familiarized with. Also, we should be familiarized with the name of the subject also, starting from. I've seen many students writing in the subject line English. We are not writing, and the subject name is not English. It is English language and literature. So from right from the scratch, we have to just correct everything by now. So English language and literature, and the subject code is 184. At least from now onwards, if you don't have the habit of writing this for writing your examination. So from here onwards, you write English language and literature and code number subject code 184. If you ask me, is it giving any additional benefit? No. But of course, you are doing everything in the perfect manner. Yes. So the first question, the first literature, we have reference to context question. That is the extracts we used to get from the poem or the proses. Those are question number 6 and 7. So there are two extracts based question, and out of each question is out of 5 marks. You will get competency based questions, and I'm going to talk about in detail. Now this is an overview what I'm giving how the paper looks. Next, we have short answer type of a question. You have to write 6 short answer type of questions out of 8 which is given. So here 6 is you have to choose it from first flight 6 and first flight and footprints. So each question carries 3 marks, and then we have long answer type of questions. These you might have done multiple times, and I know that you are also familiar with this, right? Now, going to. So generally, many students used to ask me, like as if I'm starting with backward, that is the last section. So let me start with the last type of question, that is a LAQ. Okay, where we have the maximum weightage, that is 6 mark. It carries 6 mark. So how to procure that maximum 6 marks? This generally used to be a major concern of every students, Many used to come to us, the teachers, after writing their examination or after getting their papers. Ma'am, I have written a full length answer, a full page answer, and there is nothing that you have marked as nothing wrong or nothing is circled or underlined, but still I got only 3.5, and you have mentioned that elaborate or key points missing. What do you mean by key points? What do you mean by value points? Why did I not get the full mark? Out of 6, is my one page answer equal only say 3.5? So this is the major concern of the children. As the teacher used to give a remark, focus on value points, focus on key points. What is that key point? What is that value point? How do I know what key point, which for which question, how should I make the key points? This will be the major concern of most of the students, right? So I thought of rightly starting from here. Okay, so giving a pause so that I hope I'll get your attention, because we are starting with the LAQ, which is a 6 marker. If you want to ensure the maximum marks, that is, you will get like maximum, we can just expect 5.5, 5.5 out of 6 also. Generally, zero point 0.5 used to get deducted for the expression part. So if you want to ensure the maximum mark, please listen here. So what do we have to do when we get the question, and why you did not get the full mark for your full length answer, one page or one and a half page answer, and you did not get marks more than 3 marks? Because listen, first the rubrics, the split up of the mark itself is content and expression. Long answer type is divided, the 6 mark is divided into content and expression. Content carries 3 marks, expression carries 3 marks. And what generally the students used to do a mistake is, as you can see, that common mistake is they generally summarize this topic. Mostly, they used to give a summary of the entire topic, whatsoever the question is, whatever the way the question is asked. They just give a summary of it. Most of the, when you are writing the summary, the mistake what you are doing is your answer is meeting only the content part. Your answer is not precise to the question. So whereas the marks for the expression part you are not at all taking care of. In your 2 pages of answer, there is nothing you have provided for expression, right? So of course your marks will be assessed only for content. And what is the mark you are getting? 3.5. That is for the marks what you have written for the content, and rest of the punctuations and all those things. So for the content, there is a basic expression mark, only that much. So how can we ensure the maximum mark? The first thing is, when you get the question paper, I know that the students will be so curious when they get a question paper during the reading time. Though we used to say that use that reading time for your section A, reading the unseen passage, they immediately jump into two things. One is to see or to check what is the writing topic, and the next is what is the LAQ. Okay, so of course you would be curious to know. So if you know that, yeah, the major weightage question, I know that, I'm confident enough, then you'll be able to go through the question paper. So when you get the paper, go to the, when you're taking reading the LAQ, first read the LAQ and identify the type of questions. When I see type of question, of course we have different types of question, right? So CBSE or any board, no longer they are just testing our understanding, basic knowledge, or the memory of us, right? So it is just expecting something more than that. Your analytical thinking, your critical thinking skill. So we have to be very much strong in the 21st century skills, and that is what the expectation of the CBSE also. And most of the questions which are framed by CBSE would be to bring out that skill of it, test the skill of yours. Read the question, identify the type of question. So when I say the type of question, what are the type of questions generally we used to get under LAQR? It is there in my next slide. If you can see my side, there are, see that these are the types of questions we used to have: analytical type of questions, application type of questions, extrapolatory type of question, and synthesis type of questions. I'm sure you must be aware of all these type of question, but still, uh, for a few, I'll give a very brief introduction or an explanation about it. When it comes to analytical type of a question, what is an analytical type of a question? A question is asked. Okay, a question is asked. For example, we can say that from Boli, a question is asked: explain education as a right tool for reformation. So it is something based on the theme, right? So when we have to answer, when we are writing an answer for the question, what do you have to do? Where are we getting the content from? We have to think about what have we learned about that chapter, the characters, and the theme. So we are going back to the chapter. We are analyzing our understanding and reading of the chapter, and based on our analysis of the chapter, we are writing the answer, isn't it? So such questions are called analytical based question. Mostly the theme or the questions which are based on theme or character sketch, these are all coming under analytical type of questions, right? So the next questions are we call application type of a question. What is application type of a question? You're applying, that is outside to inside. So you are coming from external, like outside to the internal, external to internal. Internal means to the textbook. See, for example, what I can give as a right example here is from the chapter Black Aeroplane. So, if you are getting a question that imagine if you are the pilot of the black aeroplane, and how would you react to the situation when you see like a black, a mysterious person guiding you? What would be your reaction over it? So here you are asked to apply yourself into that. So what you have to do, you have to think about the like the values, the morals, or the higher order thinking skills, whatever happened with the pilot of the black aeroplane. All those things you should know. You should have the textual knowledge as well, and you should know rightly to apply yourself. If I were in this situation, what would be my reaction? I will be able to express that. That's such kind of questions are application based question. Nowadays we are getting more application based question. Now it comes to extrapolatory type of questions. What do you mean by extrapolatory type of question? Extrapolatory, you are coming out. When I said application, you are going outside to inside the textbook. So from extrapolatory, you are going taking something from inside the textbook to outside. So what is the example I can say here is from Amanda. If I give you a question, so from Amanda, you are a counselor who is giving a guest lecture for the right way of parenting. So, what are the points that you would highlight where your audience are parents as well as the teenage children? So, here, do you understand? So, we know something about the poem or the chapter. So, we have already learned the theme of it. We know that what is the learning objective of it, and we are taking the learning objective and we are asked to apply it outside the real world. Okay, that is the implication of it, right? So that is what is expected. It is extrapolatory in certain questions. How do you have to? So how much, if you see the table I have mentioned, how much you have to give textual points and general opinion, that I'll come to you next. Now I'm explaining you the types of question if a few students are not aware of the type of questions. Now coming to the synthesis type of questions. So basically nowadays you can see a lot of many synthesis type of questions also. That is, two chapters are joined based on a commonality of it, the common theme or something. So it is being clubbed. Okay, that is how the synthesis type of question used to come. For example, if I can give the character from the his first flight and the character in Custard the Dragon. Okay, so they can be combined. They can be there is a general joining factor. We can say that lack of courage. Okay, so here a question can be framed based on this: how overcoming fear, overcoming the conquering fear. So there can be a question based on this. So going back to the slide. So what is your first task is read the question. You will rightly identify the type of question. If you are practicing this here onwards by going through the number of questions, if you rightly read it with the keywords, you'll be able to identify the type of question. So the first step is identifying the type of question. Then so next is, okay, you have identified the type of question, but still in the question what you are expected to write. Always the teachers would ask for the keywords or key phrases, right? So how do I know that what are the keywords or key phrases? So if you should know, if you have to know the right keywords that you have to give in your answers, you should get the correct keywords from the questions, right? So there would be definitely questions. You can find keywords from the questions. Try to make a note of the keywords, what the question is intended to ask. What am I supposed to write or give us an answer? You'll be able to get it when you read the question one time, or if it is a complex question, by two times. The second time, you'll be able to understand what is the essence of the question, what is expected out of you. And of course, then your first two tasks is done. Then you should be cognizant about how much you have to write, how you have to write the key points. See, like for example, if I say, if I take the dust of snow point, right? So, like for example, for keywords, what I'm telling is, so dust of poem, we know that the mood of the speaker, that is pensive, right? So when you are asked, so generally some students used to write, what is the mood of the speaker? Sad, disappointed, upset, tensed. Yeah, they're all synonymous, but nothing can replace pensive. Can be replaced only by pensive, right? So that is what is keyword. So if you take that out, that spoils the beauty of it. That spoils the strength of the answer. So that should be the keywords. Okay. In this way, you should identify the question, type of question, then type of the key, identify the keywords, then you start writing your answer. And when you start writing your answer, this is the proportion that you have to. I would spend little more time here on this slide because this is important. And so when your analytical based question, as I told you, some theme based or character based questions generally used to come from, like, come under analytical question. So here, what is this 100 percentage and 20% percentage? That is how much you have to write the textbook references. Because if it is a character sketch based question, what you are writing is from your understanding of the textbook, right? Nothing from external. So 100 percentage of your answer should be framed with your understanding of the chapter. How have you comprehended about the character? When it comes to the character sketch, we generally use the steal method, isn't it? Hope you all are aware of the steal method. That is what the person spoke. STEAL. The what the person spoke, what the person's the thought of the person, and A. So I'm leaving E because E comes last. The what the person spoke, what the person used to think, and what the person, the actions of the person, and the looks of the person, and overall effect of all these things. The E stands for effect. Okay, generally the E is coming in the middle, but it is, that is the one you have to use to wrap up. So when we have a character sketch question, we used to cover all these things. Okay, so when there is an analytical question, what you have to write is 100 percentage from your textual understanding, not more than that. So sometimes what is that 80 to 20 is, sometimes some questions you might have observed that some question used to start from a general statement, and then they used to connect it with the context. So in certain cases, as it is starting with a general statement, you also have to substantiate that general statement. You have to just give justification or explanation to the general statement. Then you can go to the textbook references. So that is what 80-20 percentage is. So if the question, analytical question, is direct, your answer is also direct, 100 percentage textual. If the analytical question is not direct, which is giving starting with a statement, then your answer is starting with the explanation of that statement. Then you are rightly connecting it with the content. That is 80 percentage. When it is the application type of a question, as I told you, you are asked to like the example I have given from black aeroplane. So your understanding, 80 percentage of your understanding is from the textbook. Now the 20 percentage, the general opinion is that if you were in that position, so you have to think from your perspective also. So there you are writing some 20 percentage general. So this is the proportion. In this proportion, if you make your answer, so definitely you'll be able to, of course, this is what the examiner is, the evaluator is expecting from you. You'll be able to get the maximum score. Coming to extrapolatory question. For example, what I have given is a question from the Amanda, the counselor, who is giving a session on right parenting, isn't it? So there, here, you have nothing to do with Amanda. You're just giving a session on right parenting, which you have already learned. The chapter has taught you what is the right kind of parenting, and how does, like, what a teenager, how a teenager should behave, how a parent should behave. So you know everything that you are just explaining. So your answer 90% is from general, based on your understanding of the chapter. And what is this 10% textual point? That is, so in between, as you're saying something, every time we used to give some examples, right? So there as an example, you can give some reference about the chapter. Right? Can I go ahead? Now going to the synthesis type of question. When we speak about synthesis, as I told you, I gave an example just about the two stories and custard. They have just combined, like, how they are combined based on some basic commonalities. So when we are right synthesizing, of course, mostly it is again a kind of analytical type of questions only. So most of your answer, the points should be with the textbook points. It should cover the content and the skill, whatever is presented. And only 20% you have to speak about it, because when we are speaking, when we are combining, we are speaking about a common theme. A common theme, if you observe closely, that would be one of your 21st century skills. Okay, majorly if you see most of the chapters, everything can be connected with 21st century skills, or it can be connected with one of the SDG goals. That is the objective of. If you are not rightly clubbing or identifying your chapters, like if you are synthesizing with the present implication, these chapters would hold no value in you. Okay, so these are the type of questions. So if you choose to write in this method, rightly identifying the type of question, rightly knowing the proportion, how much I should cover from the textbook, how much I should start from give from this. If you rightly know this, you will definitely able to do your this section, that is section C, very well. So now you know this. So now coming to the presentation, when you are presenting, how to make it better. So your question, so you understood the question, you understood that what are the keywords you have to give. So please don't beat around the bush, directly come to the point. If you are not directly coming to the point, you might think that you want to show your expertise on that, you know everything, something more about that chapter. But what the evaluator is looking for, only the value points, not for your like overall knowledge, right? That is not being assessed over there. So come directly to the answer. So write precise answers, focusing on the value points, and always make a point that your value points are highlighted. Highlighted in the sense underlined with pencil or the same blue pen itself. Now when you are going for this next, okay, so as I told you, don't write the summary, it is always planned answer. So before start to write itself, do all the homeworks. As I told you, just think about it, identify and how much, do all the homework. Definitely you are free to use the last page for your rough work. Rough work is not only restricted for maths, but any subject you can use. Just you can jot down the points whichever comes to your mind. So later you can just take it. Otherwise, you would feel that you would forget about it. Don't please mark anything on the question paper. You are free to use the last page of your booklet where you can make a note of it. And of course, no evaluators used to pay any attention to this. They just they know that the students have done some rough work. So you don't have to bother about it. Okay. Now coming to, if it is a value based question, so as I told you, if it is starting with a statement, always start with that statement itself, and then you connect your content. And towards the end, how you have started with the general statement, your answer to be, don't abruptly close your answer, stop your answer. That also should be wrapped up with connecting to the statement which is given in the question. That is the right way of attending the LAQ question. So here, one more, a few things sometimes we used to overlook is, sometimes if you see a lengthy LAQ. So if you see that LAQ is divided into some two or three parts, the question itself has some sub questions. If you see such questions, see to that each question's answer will have the marking scheme. The split up is done in that way. So if you overlook or if you forget to write one part of that subsection, you will not get marked for that. So if a question is divided into two parts, you have to do justification to the two questions also. In your answer, also you have to write those, like no, you have to address those two questions which are asked, and it is always better as you are shifting your ideas, shift your paragraph also. Splitting your answer into different paragraphs in LAQs is really always it is ideal. Please follow that. And another like added benefit to your answer is, always try to memorize a few lines from a poem or a chapter. It can be a poem or a chapter also, and always try to use it wherever it is relevant in your answer. And when you are using this, use the double quote and try to write visually distinct. Visually distinct, when I say that, if you are writing in two different lines are totally dedicated, only dedicated for writing these quotes, which is relevant to your question, that is really an added benefit to your answer. Try this, children. Now going to the next one. So of course, in LAQ, this is a general expectation that you have to write the name of the chapter and the writer, because that the child is rightly identifying it. The child knows about it. So that is also an expectation. So Always reiterate and just close your answer with a focus point. Focus point, what do you mean by the keywords or the value points? And now coming to so LAQ, the major part I have covered here. So with this, our SAQ and our with a reference to content questions, our literature part will be over. So here now coming to what is the next is SAQ, right? So LAQ we have discussed. So now this is SAQ, that is short answer type of a question. You are supposed to write 6 short answer type of a question, right? 4 from first flight, and 2 you have to choose from your footprints. They both will come under different questions, different number of questions. And so here SAQ, see that what I have written, that is an ideal area to save time. Please remember it. SAQ, which is a 3 marker, which is expecting for only a maximum 4 to 6 keywords from your answer. Please don't write beyond 4 or 5 sentences, 5 lines of your exam paper. That's enough. So, but write concise and targeted answers, but please don't go beyond the word limit. What are you asked? If you are asked only about certain thing, what he spoke, what was his intention, what was his reaction, only speak about it. No need to think that what was the context, which context has prompted him to think about it or react about it, or what happened later. No need to write. Only targeted answers. Give that. So this is an ideal place to save your time. I'm seeing that many used to write, those who choose to write in a sequence, they used to write very elaborate answers in SAQ. But when they come to LAQ, they'll not get enough time. So they have to just wrap up their answer. And some used to leave it. They'll not be able to finish the paper in a very satisfactory manner. Don't do this mistake. So SAQ is, as the name suggests, short answer type of a question. Don't be on the lines. Don't go beyond the lines, but see to that it should be concise and targeted. What the question, the keyword of the question, answer as per that. Coming to the next question, that is you have extracts questions, right? Extracts based question, 2 extract based question. So generally if you see nowadays the recent years question paper, no extract based question generally used to come that who said this to whom, what's the point of it, what's the, like from which poem or the chapter the question is taken. No longer such questions. As I told you, checking your memory questions which check your memory, such questions are no longer there in CBSE. Not in CBSE, in any board, which is our memory is not being checked nowadays. They're like our application skill, our understanding, comprehension, and application. So here generally you used to get competency based question, that is based on your critical thinking, your inference to that, and how you're comprehending about it. So there can be one question from poetic devices and one question from the synonym or antonym, the contextual meaning. So just such a, so when I speak about poetic devices, definitely one question you can get from poetic devices. So you should be thorough of all your whatever the poem you have, the poetic devices of that particular poems you should be like familiar with, right? So basically, though they won't go to very higher extent of asking for poetic devices, at least you should know what is simile, what is metaphor. You should know, in the sense you should be able to rightly identify a simile, a metaphor, a personification, and hyperbole, and transferred epithet, and enchantment, alliteration. So these are all the common things that you will be assessed for. At least these common things you should know and you should be able to rightly identify. So give importance to poetic devices. Minimum 1 to 2 marks you'll be able to procure if you are focusing in poetic devices also. And when it comes to reference to context, again, let me tell, both your short answer type of question and reference to context question, both you can finish writing only using 2 pages of your answer script, even the CBSE answer script. You don't have to write much. For reference to context, it is 1 marker. Don't write beyond. So some answer would require only your answers in words or phrases, or some answers you have to write a little more. That is a 2 marker also is there in reference to context. There you have to write some like in just 20 to 30 words, not beyond that. So this is how you can save your time here and literature. So far I have completed the literature part. Srividya ma'am, can I go ahead or should we
So
stop?
we've got one question for you. So one student wants to know whether they should attempt the question backwards or from the beginning.
So they can choose any order to attempt the question. There is no restrictions. But if they choose to write from, it is ideal if they start attempt the question in sequence. That is always, it looks good and it is easy for the evaluator also for entering the marks. But still, if the child feels that he is very comfortable with section B or section C, you can. But please continue with the sequence. Section B,
Correct.
if you started
Correct.
attempting, complete the entire questions of section B and then go to the next section, whichever you wanted to take. That is
Perfect.
the okay.
Okay.
So can you
One
go
more
ahead to
question for
review?
you. One more small
Okay,
question, and then we move on. Can you explain the
sure.
synthesis type of questions with another example?
Okay. Synthesis basically, I hope you might have understood the concept of it. What is synthesis? Synthesis means we are synthesizing, we are joining two chapters. So basically, if you say, you would get a question from, like, combining both the chapters. So if we are combining something, there should be some commonality, something in general, isn't it? See, for example, another example, if you want me to give, Sermon at Benares, and Ball Poem. These are the two chapters that are taken from the same textbook and which has a common connection, that is experiential learning. Okay, so Kisa Gautami, who can we can give as an example for a loser, lost something, was struggling to accept. Similar way, in the Ball Poem, the child lost something, he doesn't know anything about acceptance and the materialistic world, and they're also struggling to accept. So the acceptance, from how they have come to that point of that struggling to accept, and then to the point of accepting when they accepted. So that is the right point where they have come in, right? So this can be a common linking point. So the questions always, I'll suggest you one method, like after reading the chapter, you yourself try to prepare, just make some questions, frame some questions based on this. So which are the chapters or characters I can say as some common example. So I hope you might have understood this, because here the question, if I frame it, uh, so if Kisa Gautami and yeah, if Kisa Godami happened to meet the child from the ball poem, so what would be their conversation about the time that they realized about the importance of acceptance? What do you think that how the conversation would go on? Just make a converse, or you will be asked to make a conversation. Okay, so here we are synthesizing a topic. Always, apart from that, you are asked to apply also. So hope I'm clear.
Thank you. One last question related to literature. How many chapters can they leave as option from both books?
I suggest not to leave any chapters, because, as you know, for English we don't have any particular blueprint that does, like, only from this chapter. This is the percentage of the question we used to come. It is not like that. From any chapters you can get any question. And now, as we have synthesis type of question, the one who set up the question paper, they have the maximum freedom of using the maximum number of chapters. They can just club two chapters with a common point and you will get everything. So please don't leave anything from literature. Reading literature is fun, right? So just have fun and understand. Don't leave anything.
Thank you, Shani. You can continue. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Shani ma'am, you're on mute.
Sorry.
I've
I'll
unmuted.
start. When it comes to this writing topic, Section B is writing and grammar topic. We have two writing topics, and each writing question which carries 5 marks, and that is very important, of course, to focus in writing topic, because at least for literature we know everything. We know the content. We have been taught about this. So it's like multiple times the questions we come across so many things, but writing topic questions you used to get from nowhere, right? So the thing is, First, you should know the split up of the mark. That is, out of this 5 mark, format is 1 mark, content 2 marks, and expression 2 marks. And for any writing topic, we have a particular template, that is a format. And it is very, very mandatory that you should know, you should be very, very thorough with the template or the format of any writing topic. That is very important. So if that is 1 mark, so that 1 mark of format, if I say for an example of letter writing, starting from the sender's address, date, receiver's address, subject line. If it is a business letter, then we have to write the enclosure, the reference, and the complementary closure. Everything comprises is for everything is for 1 mark. And if you miss out one single thing, you just forgot that complementary closure, or you mess up the complementary closure, and even that, of course, even though it is one mistake, your 0.5 mark is gone, because anyhow you have to be deducted, right? The mark has to be deducted because you don't know certain thing in a proper manner. So please, like, to ensure that 1 mark for format, you should be very, very familiar with the, like, thorough with the format. That is one thing you all should remember. So we have the official letters, and another one is, so how you get official letter with another internal choice can be, that is another official letter. So what are the types of letter you have under letter writing is official letter. That can be any kind of official letter: official enquiry, official complaint, inquiring about something, so directly complaining about something, anything it can be. And another type is you can get a business letter. So if you see the way how the writing topics are being updated by the CBSE, that is, of course, a very appreciable thing. So now, along with reading your grade 10 itself, you're learning for the next level of English. If you see, when you go to professional colleges, so of course, like, there is something called technical English. You should learn technical English. When you go to your, like, pursue your professions, your courses with MBA or something, business management, there are different types. We call it as business English, we call it as technical English. CBSE has incorporated both the things right in grade 10 itself. So when you go to your grade, the higher grades also, why this technical English and business English are very important, because when you are into a profession, of course, you are using that, whether it is a report writing, analytical paragraph skill. If you learn this now, you will be able to write a better report when you are presenting it to your superior, when you are in the office, when you are working, when you are in a workspace. Okay. So now letter, so official, business, and letter to the editor. These are the three types of letter. Under official, it can be an official complaint letter, or it can be an official inquiry type of a letter, inquiring about the tourism facilities or inquiring about the courses. So you have to at least minimum 4, 5, 6 type of questions you have to revise and practice for the letter writing. And let me tell you one thing. So writing is a skill. Any skill-based thing, when you learn, we can't simply just read it. Or like, if you want to drive, if you're learning driving, can you watch YouTube videos and then you become a perfect driver? You can't, right? The skill has to be practiced. So here writing is a skill. So you, that skill-based topic, the questions you have to practice only by writing again and again. Take n number of worksheets, the questions, practice question, and write by practice by writing. That would just make you perfect. The next question is analytical paragraph, which is a new addition for the from the last year in our CBSE. Analytical paragraph that comes with other names called data interpretation. So data interpretation, again, it can be a Q or visual based or a SWOT analysis. And both that, I'm very sure that your teachers would have guided you in a right way how to write your analytical paragraph when it is visual based, when it is SWOT based. And you might have done so many assessments also and worksheets also based on that. So when it comes to the writing topic, what you have to remember very well is be very familiar with the format. That would ensure that 1 mark for you. Next is making the content. The content. What is the content? Like, it should be relevant. If a question is asked, you have to write a business letter. You have to write a letter to the editor complaining about something, or sharing your concern about a new change in the policy. You're not very much happy with that and you're writing about it. So when you are asked to write that, read the question properly, and then the content. The content should be relevant to the question and the way how you are expressing. And generally, where the students used to miss mark is they don't catch, or some again they used to overlook a part of a question. See, for example, if I say business letter, when how you can, so in the business letter, you're writing a complaint letter about a product that you have received which is not functioning or which is malfunctioning. So you are, it can come in two way. One is you're complaining, another one is you're complaining and you want to so before getting it, sir, you want a cancellation or complaint. So read to the keyword. So if it is just talking about if the product is okay, I'll take another example to give you more clarity. You have ordered a product and the product is delayed and the delivery is delayed. Now you are, what you're doing is, you have two options, right? Once, either you can just write a complaint. In the complaint letter itself, you can just make it like, just make a request to make it on the right day and give a warning, and you make it precise that this day should happen. Otherwise, you can cancel it. If you're not reading the question, you would think that it is just a complaining letter, and you don't know that you have to do the cancellation of the things. Okay, so then your content would just focus on only one point. Or if you see some question, certain question where it would, as you for, you are inquiring about the tourist package. So where when you're inquiring about the tourist package, read it properly, whether you have already finalized the tourist spot, or you're yet to, or are you asking suggestion from the person whom you are writing the letter. So you read the question. If you read the question, ensure that everything is covered so that your content is done, and please don't go with the wrong format and lack of coherence. So this is the place where generally the children used to lose mark. In the writing topic, always follow the coder. Coder is collect, organize, draft, edit, and read. So let me take only the first two letters, C and O. That is collect. When you get a analytical paragraph, any writing topic question, before you start writing, you just like, you would think about, maybe if it is about the environmental issues, right? So immediately all, like, the points would come to you. So you start collecting the points and start organizing the points. So whatever points come to your mind about it, that you have read about the environment, that points, whenever it comes to your mind, please jot it down. After that, okay, which point can I present first? Just think about it, then organizing. So all these things you can do as a rough work. After, immediately if you start to write your answer without doing the coder, you are making a mistake. Don't do that. When you are starting to write, then you might feel that, oh, I should have given this point first. So as the ideas comes in, you feel like, getting a place for it later. At one point of a time, getting a place for it would be like, difficult. You would entirely just scratch the answer and it would be time waste. So don't do that. First itself, you decide how am I starting, what would be my points. So my strong point should be first, and then I can, if there is any weak point, strong, weak, strong. This is how we have to, the sandwich method that we have to use. And so there is particular thing that we have to speak about, the tone also. Always we have to maintain this tone. This all will be checked in your expression part, not in the content part. So if it is an official letter, are you maintaining the respectful and professional term? That is, always be formal using the words. Always don't use please in any of your formal writing. Use kindly. Okay, so these are certain things that you can always remember about. And when it is a business letter, here again, though it is a formal letter, but still you are maintaining a business contact with the person. So your tone here can be polite but cordial also, because you will be in a, like, long run contact. Then when it comes to the letter to the editor, always remember the three C's. Any complaint letter, three C's. Remember that you are talking about one problem. That problem would have a cause. Cause of that problem, consequences of the problem, and of course the cure for the problem. Generally we call it suggestion, but I felt that if I give as three C's, it will be easy for you to remember. Three C's in your letter to the editor, so you have to rightly divide it into paragraph. And when it comes to the presentation, the next point what I mentioned is, in CBSE we generally won't encourage indentation method. So always start your writing your answer from the first line. That is always ideal. So with this, my writing topic is also over. Now going to the grammar topic. Grammar, you have 10 marks questions, and it is easy scoring area. You can get full 10 out of 10 over here if you are really focused. Because grammar, if you see in grade 10, you don't have any new grammar topics. all the five grammar topics are already was taught in grade 9 itself. So what we are doing is we are continuing with the assessment and revising it. So there is no longer any new grammar topic that your new grammar rule that you're learning. So what you're learning, you are just doing a practice. So by this time, you should be familiarized with all rules, right? So grammar, be very thorough with the grammar rules, and there will be definitely in any sentence in grammar there will be definitely a keyword to identify, whether it is subject verb concord or it is a tense or anything. So if by is there, if like if it is something continuing, if just is there, these are the keywords. What would be the right tense I have to use? You know that, right? By learning it for over the years, you know all these things. So remember all these things. When you get the question, search for the keyword and do go by that. So this is one area where definitely you can, and always go by the instructions, listen to the why. Go by the instruction is sometimes nowadays, like for the last 2 years, the pattern of grammar question is also different. It's not like the previous years. So here all are standalone questions. So when you go by, like, identify the error and replace it with the correct answer. Just be careful about the instruction here. You have to identify the error and replace it. So when you are only, you know the answer, you know something, there is something wrong with the sentence, you know the right answer, you're writing only the right answer. What you're missing is you're missing the half mark here, because you are identifying you the error as for half mark and replacing it carrying another half mark. So as you're overlooking, as you're overconfident, you lose zero point 0.5 mark over there. So another thing, this I've seen that many students, because grammar question you used to get 12 question, out of that you have to write 10 questions only. I've seen many students, to ensure their marks or something, like whatsoever their expectations, they used to write all 12 questions. And as you know, writing extra questions are not really accepted in CBSE, and that can be penalized in any way. Sometimes only your first 10 answers will be corrected and the extras will not be corrected. So if you want to write extra, so no one is stopping you, but be clever in choosing. Write the answers which you are very confident about. Write those questions answer first, and if you are just like doubtful about one or two questions, bring that down if you're writing extra. But ideally, don't write extra questions and extra answers. And so practice grammar, of course, it's about all about practicing the the number of worksheets. Srividya ma'am, my section B is also over. Now only
Correct.
unseen passage with the two slides.
I
Do I
think
have
you
to
can
stop for
finish this
questions?
and then I'll take your questions because we've got several
Sure,
questions
sure.
in chat and we are running out of time. So you can just finish.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Now the last one, that is the unseen passage. You have two unseen passages, which is each unseen passage is carrying 10 marks. It's a mix of MCQs and objective type of question. So as you know, unseen passage, what you have to do is the skimming and scanning method. Read it. So this you can save time of spending time in unseen passage. Always utilize your reading time. The first 15 minutes of your reading time, at least 10 minutes you use for reading both the passages. And so when you read the passages, what are the things that you have to keep it in mind is when you come across certain key points, like if it is talking about some global issues or recent development, something about it. If you like when you read a passage, you understood, you realize that this might be a point of question. Make a note of it, not on the question paper, in the rough work. Okay. So and when you come across a specific information or statistics, that should be like there. It's a book that you should remember about it. And when you read the question again, you go back and find out the answer, right? So at that time you'll be able to rightly identify it. And another thing, see, always this is an extra, I can say it's a request. Children always have an extensive reading, because most of the writing, the comprehension passage would be something of general. So if you are having a fair knowledge about the current affairs which is happening, the contemporary issues, the global issues, the recent developments in technology, the news updates, you'll be able to understand the passages quicker. Otherwise, if the passage is something about a new development in AI, and if you don't know anything about AI, you will not be able to relate it and you will not be able to spot the answer correctly. So always have an extensive reading about all these happenings and look for specific information. And when it comes to the second passage, which is generally a case based question, and when it comes to case based question, remember one thing, it will have a paragraph and it will have a pictorial representation also. Don't ignore the pictorial representation and read only the passage, because if you are not trying to correlate that with a graph what you see or any graphical representative which you see, you will not be able to answer. So always that will be for enhancing your understanding of the passage. So always look that figure if the passage is carrying a figure. And I have completed all C sections. Now coming to the time management. When coming to the time management, when you are writing, see this, and if you want, you can take a screenshot of it also. So this will like help you out to finish your writing in time, and also to edit your paper also. I mean, review your paper also. Two passages don't take more than 30 minutes. That is 30. This is what I'm giving is a maximum, not a minimum. Okay, for maximum, even for the average learner also. So maximum for two passages 30 minutes, including where you're answering and all those things, making down if you're reading and rereading and making a point. So don't take more than 30 minutes plus 10 minutes of answering. And so here you can save time. If you are reading this reading passages during your reading time itself, you are saving time, of course, from the writing time. And when it comes to writing topic, for one writing topic, not more than 15 minutes, including the coder. Coder, as I told you, collect, organize, and jot down the points and all those things, including that, not more than 15 minutes. When it comes to grammar, it is so easy that you can finish it in 10 minutes itself. Now coming to extract based literature questions also, this again I should have given 15 minutes, lesser than this. Definitely you can, but sometimes some question would be competency based question, so you have to think a little. Is it there in the text or is it in the connected text? So take maximum 20 minutes. When it comes to literature short answer, as I told you, here your answer is the precise one. It was, you have to save time. 6 question 30 minutes, for each question not more than 5 minutes. Literature long answer type of a question which is carrying the maximum weightage, so you give little more time to that. 15 minutes thinking of everything, identifying the type of question, then you have to think about the proportion. In this way, if you choose to write, you'll be able to finish the paper in 2 hours 30 minutes or 2 hours maximum 40 minutes. So you will barely have to 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes in hand to reach it. And these all from my side. All the best, children.
So, ma'am, we've got a few questions. So, one of
Yes.
the questions is it allowed to compare and contrast the chapters of First Flight and Footprints? Or should the comparative
uh,
answer be from the same textbook?
no, it generally used to, as per the blueprint, it used to come from the same textbook.
Same textbook. Okay. Very crucial question. Is it possible to score full marks in English?
We all wish that you should score, but still, let us see. Yeah, 98 is the easiest score that you can definitely get, because always, like over the years, what I've seen, every time everybody would, like for expression part, generally we used to deduct mark. So where if you see expression part in five places, we can say that. So the maximum I can say 78 and a half, or 78 and 78 and a half. So the rest of the places, three places minimum for expression, your point 0.5 marks would be deducted. That is how the chief and everybody used to suggest. But if your answer is exceeding that, point 0.5 mark is for the scope of language, right? Improvement. So if your answer is exceeding that and there is no, it is without any flaw, of course, you.
Okay. All right. What exactly is expression in letter? How to improve it for marks?
Expression, generally speaking, technically it comes like with our spelling, our punctuation, capitalization, grammar mistake, grammar, and organizing the logical sequence of ideas. So these are what we call generally coming under expression. So always you remember your sentences are flawless, and of course they are just written without any spelling or grammatical mistakes, and even punctuation free from punctuation error also. When I say about this, children, please abstain from using ampersand. Many used to do that, and instead of writing a and d, that ampersand used to do that. That please abstain from that. It is actually, that is not allowed in formal, any formal writing. Write that three letter word a and d. For that itself, I have seen that, like, no, marks are deducted from a very excellent student, because they have to, of course, formal should be formal. So that is the thing. And so when you speak about, be error free in your sentence, and try to just find a better diction. Always use phrases. And when you're writing, presenting the ideas, make sure the ideas are in a logical sequence. Organize the whatever ideas you are presenting, organize in a proper manner, in a proper sequence. So this is what is about expression.
How to make an analytical paragraph seem more relevant?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
When they write analytical paragraphs, how can they make it seem more relevant? They're saying that as they have to write only factual details, how can they make it more relevant to score better marks?
Yeah, they have to, as I told you, analytical paragraph, we have two types. One is cube based or visual based, where you used to get a graph and you are trying to, now you are interpreting. When you are getting this, you of course you are expected to give facts only. But the facts, the way you are presenting, right? So you can say that this is 30%, this is 100%, and there is a difference in next year. If you see there is a hike. So when you say that, of course, you are providing the facts. But when you are providing the facts, you can make it little interesting by using the there is a skyrocketing and the way how you are explaining. So there is a sudden fall in it. So the way there are some key, we use some generally if you speak all the diagrams and charts, what they are doing an analysis. When we speak about an analysis, there is a comparison happening. When we speak about a comparison, there is something contrast, isn't it? Comparing and contrasting. So when you speak in your sentence, there are certain keywords we use it for comparing and contrasting. However, whereas, right, on the other way, like on contrary to. So there are certain keywords. When you are writing a positive sentence and a negative sentence, use it with a proper sentence linker. This is what you can do to make your first type of analytical paragraph, that is that Q-based analytical paragraph, better. When it comes to SWOT analysis, of course, you have a freedom of, though you are writing, here you are analyzing based on the SWOT, right? The SWOT points given. So you are analyzing, you are coming out with, yeah, if these are the strength and these are the weaknesses for this business product, if you are launching, and these are the strength and weaknesses, and is it the right time? So you can come out with your own view. So here you are giving it in a, though the facts you are presenting, the way how you are opening, the way how you are making it in a way that you're the choice of words. So especially speaking, so in data analysis and analytical paragraph also, we have some key terms. Learn that key terms. So try to involve that, incorporate that in your answer. And remember, only data interpretation is the only writing topic that allows you underlining the key points. Otherwise, we underline the key points only in the writing topic, right? So here you're free to write, underline the key points, because you have been already given with certain key points, the connectors, the sentence linkers, some phrases to show the height, some phrases to show the the decline of it. So those key phrases you underline. That should help you for your expression.
Can we start the letter with personal pronouns?
Letter, when it comes to yeah, but it is always there is a target idea, right? When it comes to so generally personal pronoun, there is a need of writing it when you are introducing it. So the need of introducing, you see to that, if it is a business letter or the letter to the editor, is it a need that you have to introduce yourself there? Is your introduction is is the introduction about you is the important thing, or introducing the topic or the problem is important? You decide that. Generally it is introducing the topic is important, right? So in that case, there is no need of starting a letter with a personal pronoun, right?
Now, while writing the long answers, if the keywords are already written and the answer is also written properly, do they still need to meet the word limit?
Word limit. Is
Do
the
they
question
still
about
need
word
to?
limit?
Yes, it's about word limit. The question is, while writing long answers, if all the keywords have been included and the question is answered properly, do they still need to meet that word limit?
By writing the expected keywords and key points, by that time itself you would have already met the expected keyword, the number of words, right? So, and when we speak about the keyword, if it is given 120 to 130, of course children going plus and minus 50 is almost always it is acceptable. That's not a matter. So as you said, Like, don't think that I have given all the keywords. If you are asked to write for 150 or 120 words, so including all the key points, expected key points, only you will be able to meet that 150 words. And if you think that all your key points are incorporated in your 100 word itself, then of course you are wrong about it. Not all your keywords are incorporated in it. So you have to do a recheck of it.
Okay. While writing a letter, should they add a comma after the salutation? For example, after
Please
sir.
don't please don't add punctuations. Like, we generally don't add punctuation when you're writing the entire receiver's address or salutation or the date format. Nowhere we generally use punctuation. Punctuations are totally taken. Only for the sentences we use. For the structure, wherever it is required, we use punctuations.
Okay. For a short answer type of question, a example is given. What is the main twist of a question of trust? Do they need to give a gist of the lesson or can they directly reach the twist?
Ma'am, the first sentence of yours, I could not hear properly.
Okay. In a
Is it
short answer
analytical
type,
based question?
no, no, in a short answer type of question, okay, when they ask what is the
Yes.
twist in this particular lesson, for example, can they directly write about the twist or do they need to give the gist of the lesson also?
No, no, only based on the question. If the question is targeting certain thing, so nowhere they are supposed to give a gist of the question. If you are giving a gist of the
Got it.
chapter, it is a summary. So definitely, if at all there is a question about the theme of the chapter also, and theme you can write only in 2 or 3 sentences. No need to write. If it is about the question of a trust, it has a certain theme. Don't You don't have the full length summary to justify the theme. Write only the expected theme.
Got it. Which chapter has the highest weightage?
As I told already, there is nothing. All chapters are equal weightage.
Okay. Uh, One child has asked, suppose he scores 78.5, will it get converted into 79?
No, it will not be. So I think it comes in the grade, right? A1 belongs to A1.
Okay. Um, a few more questions. Okay, I'm just. Yes, you can do see, the question is being asked again and again. Can they start from behind? So, as ma'am told you earlier, if you attempt section C, make sure that you complete section C and then you move to section B. Okay, whatever section you start, continue and finish it.
Exactly.
Uh, what are the common misconceptions?
Misconception from the evaluator side or
Yes,
from the students'
from
evaluator
the,
side.
yes.
So one thing is about the presentation. Okay, the way how you're presenting, and of course your handwriting also matters. And if the child is just giving only the first itself, if in any long answer type of a question, if you start from the summary, that itself will give leave an impression about you in the evaluator. The child doesn't know how to come to the precise point. That itself has like already a prejudice. But still, evaluators will not go with the prejudice, because we have to stick on to the marking scheme also. But generally, this human psychology that would lead the person for this conclusion. And handwriting generally, there is no demerit or demarking for handwriting, but still it makes it difficult for the reader, the evaluator, to comprehend it. So in at that time, so sometimes if you're running handwriting, okay, the way how you are making the formation of the running letters, so that would make it difficult, and that would make the readability challenge. So there is a chance again that would cause a misconception. And another, apart from children, we won't go with that misconception. All are like our children, so we don't see that.
What if they don't mention the name and address in the letters?
Name and address, generally in like all CBSE questions, they used to give that assume yourself as so and so, and you are writing this to so and imagine that your school is publishing. Then there also they used to give that's the school's address, or how you have to assume the details would be given. If at all it is not given, please don't write anywhere your personal information or any like imaginary name as well. Don't write XYZ. Always sign it up with XYZ, and for any school name also. If it is like an annual day function in your school, don't write my school, so and so school. So don't write it XYZ school. For everything we have 26 alphabets. Use Have a fair use of it.
If a LAQ is based on writing topic, for example, a diary writing, will the
Ah,
format be
yes.
considered?
Yeah. So it's a very valid question. Nowadays, we are getting questions like that. Of course, writing topic, as I told you, the split up of the mark is content and expression. Nowhere format is being checked. Okay. So you will not, like, marks won't be deducted if you don't know the format of a letter writing or an email or a report writing. But still, it is a basic expectation that if you are asked to write as a diary entry, a diary should be in a first person narrative, and a basic expectations, you start with your diary and closing it with good night, or you're like, you're signing it with your name. If it is any letter format, of course, how you start a letter with a salutation, these all we have learned in our lower classes also, right? And if you are asked to write a speech, of course, how do we generally give a speech? By addressing the gathering, right? Greeting everybody, good morning, everybody. And so while closing, also, have a good day. So we close it that. These are the basic expectations. Okay. So if you are not doing that, sometimes though there is no marks for format, sometimes from your expressions, marks can be deducted because these are the basic expectation a child should know.
Should we write about the poet while answering?
Uh, Sorry,
The
ma'am, can you
question is
repeat it?
not very clear actually.
Okay.
Rishikesh, if you could just rewrite this question, I do not understand this question. What is the best way to present the paper?
Presenting the paper, as I have given in the PPT itself, the presentation itself. So, if you speak about the sequence, always going by sequence is a good thing, and answering precise, leaving lines in between, and splitting it into proper paragraphs. And as we are starting, there is no indentation, we are starting from the margin itself to show the para shift. There should be a line space, so that looks, of course, neat. And so underlining the key points. So these all overall, an opinion is generally, no, it would lead to firm frame in the evaluator's mind. This is a good good presentation.
Somebody asked about time management, but you have explained that in detail and you've asked them to take the screenshot also. Does neat presentation have extra marks?
No extra marks, but you won't lose marks.
Correct.
Otherwise, as I told you, if the evaluator is not able to understand what you have written, okay, and is looking just like or, of course, then that will be just circled as a grammar mistake, circled, right? And that is
Correct.
counted as a grammar or spelling mistake, and your expression mark is gone.
Correct.
Why do you
Correct.
give a chance for that?
Is underlining keywords a requirement or is it necessary?
If you want to ensure the maximum mark, that is a trick, we can say that, because everywhere, why do we generally highlight something? Because we wanted somebody to give attention, the focus goes only on that. That's a psychological deal also. If there is something underlined, and evaluators, of course, generally used to look into that, and up, like, there is a tendency to just ignore the rest of the things also. The child knows that the keywords are perfectly framed and written, and that is flawless. So make sure, but what you're underlining is proper sentence, and it should not be a mistake, and that is highlighted.
How many marks can get cut for spellings or grammatical mistakes?
For four mistakes, zero point 0.5 marks used to be deducted, whether it is a spelling, grammar, or punctuation. Four as half mark.
Can you explain the coder method?
Coder is, like, if I say the expansion of it, C stands for collect, organize, draft, edit, and read it. So when we get any writing topic, a creative writing topic, which we have already not learned about it, right? If you have learned the literature question, we know the answer, but something, a new creative writing topic is given. So you have to, before itself, we have to do some certain work about homework, we can say that about it, right? So now you are asked to write about the role of AI in the current scenario. So now you, what you have to think about? Okay, you have to think about like when has it started, and what is it, what are the benefits of it, what are the demerits of it, where all it's applied the maximum, and how the students are using it, what will be the future of it, what would be the demerits of using it more. You think like all these points come to your mind. This is what we call collecting information. So we, before starting to take the pen to write, we are collecting the information. That is what we call collect the information. This collecting information is you're thinking about a topic, focusing on and contemplating on it. You would get so many points about it, whatsoever you have read about it. So when those points come to you, make a note of those things. That is collecting the information. So you have written a list of merits, demerits, some examples and some theories about it, future study about it, many things you have written. You got some 12 points about it. Now, after collecting, that is organizing it. So now, when you are presenting it, if it is an article or anything, if a letter, you have to present it in a proper manner, right? You have to start with a proper opening, and you have to start with like organizing the thought, and then you are drafting it, and you are yeah, so you have to the logical sequence. For that logical sequencing, you have to order it. So out of these 12 points, you see that which point I can give rightly for the introduction, which point I can give for example, and which point can be there for the like discussion in detail, and what can be a concluding point. This collecting, if you're leaving the DER, remember C and O should happen, and that should happen in your rough page. So that is collecting, getting all the information, thinking about it, and just then organizing the points in the right way, so that you are writing your answer in a proper logical sequence, so that your marks for expression is ensured.
Thank you
Am I
so much,
clear?
ma'am.